as current aviation director and the beneficiary of what and who came before, can you reflect on the legacy they left you?
Such,
Previous aviation directors, as far back as you can recall.
yeah. I really only have experience, can really only talk, well, I obviously, Iftikhar Ahmad was here right before I came. Blair Conrad was here before him and was here for quite a while. And then before that, I don't have a lot of the impact of the different directors. I think, in our business, I think Blair was probably really kind of represented the old guard of what, airport directors were all about. I mean, he was completely aviation focused on operating the airport and really didn't look outside of the airport, and really he didn't have to. I mean, the airlines essentially took care of all of your expenses, and that was and so he kind of operated in that environment. I often tell people airports are the last true fiefdom left. It really is the last place that has all of the attributes of a small government onto itself. And the airport director, really, he's the final decision maker for everything that goes on within that structure. And because the airport is so different from anything else that municipalities do, he really is left to himself to make a lot of decisions because no one really wants to challenge him because they don't have the expertise or don't think they have the expertise he does. So it's unique that way, and I'm sure there's other positions, fire chiefs, police chiefs, that get in that are in that role. But the unique thing about the airport is it has, we have everything here that any small town would and we have all the problems and events,
like
changing events that happen every day, and it makes it really unique. So I think Blair, he understood that. He had, this airport still had some things about it from its heyday that he was still dealing with. They still had the remnants of Piedmont. He had the Emory air cargo facility, which I would love to have right now, as would any airport director. And I think the service here, because of what Piedmont was doing. I mean, it was a different time. You had all the players in the airline industry. Iftikhar was interesting because he had never been an airport director until he came to Dayton. He was an engineer by trade. He wanted to be an airport director and really did see this as a stepping stone to a bigger job, which he ended up accomplishing. Now he's in New Orleans, directing that airport. So his tenure here, and not saying it as a fault, but he really wasn't invested in the Dayton airport. It was more a place he was passing through. So his impact was a little bit different. I mean, he built the parking garage, which again, it's funny. This airport, and says it kind of says a lot about how Blair ran it too. There's just a lot of things that we haven't done yet at this airport that a lot of other airports would have done by now. A lot of modernization programs that haven't taken place. So.
Do you feel the autonomy you have in the position is unique in the airport director world, or is that what your predecessors protected the job so you could be autonomous out here because you're north of the city and you're in the city limits?
And I just met with the mayor a couple of weeks ago. We had one of our meetings and we talked about that. I mean, that is one of the nice things about the city of Dayton and the relationship this department has with the leadership of the city. They do let us run the airport, which is nice. You know, I've had an experience and just had one recently where that wasn't the case. And you know, I think to run our one thing about our industry is it can change almost daily, and if you don't have that autonomy and feel like you have the freedom to make decisions almost on the run, then I think it's a lot more difficult to do it. It's certainly more frustrating. I think we have a lot more fun out here because we can solve problems pretty quickly. Like the power outage, you know, we talked about that we had yesterday. That was a 12-hour outage. And if we had to pull a lot of other people in to make decisions, we probably would have gotten in trouble pretty quickly. So because we do feel a sense of independence in running the airport, you know, we just ran with what we knew we had to do and fixed it. So,
So just to clarify the point, other airport directors around the country do not necessarily have the autonomy that you do.
yeah, I think the majority of them do.
Okay.
I mean, I really, you know, I think most airports operate. I mean, let's face it, there's only 430 some airports in the country, so you're talking about, you know, a level of expertise that's only possessed by 430 people at some level. So
it's the uniqueness of the industry,
yeah,
and how to deal with the regulations.
Right, and so when you get that person, you brought them in because they have that expertise, and you know, it would be kind of hard to challenge it. But I was in that situation where, you know, I was being challenged almost every day and micromanaged to the point of where, you know, airport is running itself. I didn't have time to run it. I was busy responding to you know, the Inquisition. So it's definitely a position. My opinion is I can be a lot more successful if I'm able to do, you know, what I need to do and have some independence. I mean, obviously, I have a city commission, I have a mayor, I have a city manager, and I need to communicate with all of those people. But that's a big part of, you know, being given your independence is that's to keep it, you have to be communicating what you're doing. I mean, the article that was on the front page today wouldn't have gone over very well if that was the first time the city commission, the mayor, or city manager have been aware of it, and they, you know, they were actually in that story. So I think that's part of it too. You know, you still have things that you have to do.